Right, now let's move on to the Leeds part of our analysis then. So what are we expecting the lineup to look like? This is interesting, isn't it? First game, we have nothing to go off other than pre-season. I guess pre-season's what we're probably going to be basing this mostly off then, Hosty. That last game against AC Milan, do you think it's probably going to look pretty close to that or completely like that? What are we reckoning?
Yeah, I'm thinking pretty much like that. It depends on Jadon Bogle. I am expecting him to be back. I think the noise of he was back in training on the pitch anyway,
Yeah.
pre AC Milan.
Yeah.
So yeah, and the fact that we've got a Monday game probably gives us that little bit of extra time as well to make sure that he is fit. I kind of like that from that perspective. As annoying as the Monday game actually is. So yeah, I'm expecting Bogle probably instead of Schmidt. And if Bogle isn't fit, I get the feeling that we may end up going with Byram, because I just think that defensively on the right he might be better against Ndai, especially considering the way that Okafor, a man who's on the name of some lips, gave Schmidt the run around in that AC Milan game. Yeah, and then we're probably going to see Rodon and Strauch with the all being suspended. Goodmanson, basically exactly what Martin kind of said as well. And then, Stack, Ampadu, Tanaka gives us definitely between two of them, because Tanaka's not terrible at carrying the ball either. That sort of bit carrying potential in the middle as well. And then, yeah, James against Mikalenko, particularly if Mikalenko's getting forward, that means that there might be a bit of space out there for us. And then the left wing, who started on the left wing? Was it Nonto?
Yes.
Yeah, so we'll probably see Nonto, and then I think it's going to be Pro. I want it to be Mecha, but yeah, I think if there's a change from the lineup that isn't for Bogle to come back in because of fitness, it'll be Mecha coming in up front as well.
No notes from me, Martin. I think that's absolutely spot on. It's Bogle and Mecha, or it's just Bogle, probably.
Yeah, that's probably the only thing I can see being different to the AC Milan game. If Bogle is fit, he'll come in. There's no doubt in my mind that if he's available, he will play, because it's such a drop off between him and Schmidt and Byram. It really is. Obviously, Schmidt hasn't looked great in these pre-season games we've seen, but I will say that he hasn't had a whole lot of minutes last season or any really during pre-season prior to the AC Milan game. That was his first game that he had against, which team was it? Was it Villarreal? I think. Yeah, so against Villarreal, that was his first pre-season minutes, and he barely played last season, so he's just going to have zero match fitness. But yeah, it is still a massive drop-off between him and Byram, and yeah, so I'm praying that Bogle's fit, because he's a massive player for us at the moment, I think.
Yep, I totally agree with that. So which players then, based on that, are we expecting to cause the most problems in the game for our opposition, Everton, Martin?
So with being likely that Adam Asnow will play at left back, I think whoever is playing at right wing will have that be a bit of an advantage for them. Asnow is young, not got a whole lot of experience, and it'll be his first Premier League game. He could really excel and do really well in his first game, but there's also the potential that he does struggle. So if we can get balls down the right for James to run onto, get long balls down that side, whip balls into the box for whoever to get on the end of, whether it's Perot or whether it's one of the midfielders breaking forward, then I think that could be a really good area for us. I don't think the other side will be as weak. If it is O'Brien at right back, he's very solid defensively, so that will be a difficult area for us to break down. I think at times it will probably look more like a back three rather than a four. I think you'll end up with us now maybe looking more like a wing back, and O'Brien tucking in to maybe form like a outside centre back at times, because he's more of a centre back than a right back, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
So I think their right side will be pretty strong for them, but the left side is definitely the one which I would look to target, and has already been mentioned, the spaces between their midfield line when they do look to press forward, try to get some ball carries going through that central area, because it can be an area for them to look weak, as Joel said. So those will be the main target areas for me personally.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Hosty, would you add anything to that? Or is there players you're actually a bit worried about for Leeds that might struggle in this one?
I think Perot could struggle. That's why I'm hoping that Mecha comes in. yeah, he's not going to do well up against those two centre backs that we've mentioned, Keane and Tarkowski. Especially considering we don't think Perot really jumps for any ball ever. So that should be nice and easy for them two to deal with. I think that, then whoever's at right back's probably going to have a bit of an issue if it's not Bogle. I mean, Bogle probably still has Ndiaye, obviously, to compete with, which will be, without doubt, the best player that he's faced in the past year.
Former
so
teammates, by the way.
Yeah, that's true. So maybe he understands his game as well. Yeah, a little bit better. I always forget that he was at Sheffield United. Not Bogle, Ndiaye, that is. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I think we'll see some struggling. I don't think Gudmundsson should struggle too much against who looks like it appears on the right-hand side. Obviously, if Grealish comes on, and I imagine he's going to get some minutes, just not going to start, then that's going to be a challenge for the right-back, whoever's on at that time as well. And probably someone like Stach is going to have to really help there to cover that side.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And yeah, I think the main area of concern, Martin, has to be Joel Piroe. If he's playing, he's just not an outlet. We have Dan James's pace could be an outlet at times this season. I'm not just on about Everton here, I'm on about the season as a whole. But we're going to need Metcher, Calvert-Lewin type profiles against certain types of centre-back if we want to play into them. Obviously, there is a chance that Piroe drops in, drags a centre-back out, and then plays passes towards James or Nonto on the flanks. And that could look quite nice at times, but I think Gay's in that area as well. And it's like, I don't know, I just don't think it's going to work for him very much in this game if he starts personally. Is there anyone else you're a bit worried about in this one?
I don't think so. I think most of the side, other than the players that have been mentioned about potentially struggling, I think Piroe is the only other guy that I would say will struggle in this one because they've got a big physical side, and even with Branthwaite missing, Keane and Tarkowski are two monsters physically, and I can see him struggling with the physicality in this game. So I would definitely 100% prefer to have Metcher in this one because I've enjoyed him in pre-season. He's been an outlet. He's been able to bring down aerial balls. He's been sharp around the box, making space for other players to attack, and it just seems to me a more logical option. The upside you will get from Piroe, obviously, is technically he's a better player than what any other options are at striker. So if you can get the wingers to be making more runs further forward, if you can keep Nonto in the final third rather than having him drop deep like he normally does.
Yeah.
Try to give him instructions to stay further forward as often as you can to mean that Piroe is essentially playing as a false nine rather than a striker. So you've got players who can run off him. The eights can get further forward as well and do similar things. I think Stack could be very good at box crashing with beyond Piroe, that kind of thing. So and that's another target for crosses as well. So I think there is ways that we can make Piroe work. It's just whether the practice that enough to get the best out of it, because Piroe in the Premier League isn't going to work in the same way as what he did in the Championship. It's a whole different ball game. People can say that he was the Championship top scorer last season. Yeah, great. It's great, yeah. But this isn't the Championship. He's going to struggle in this one.
But Bamford did better when he got promoted with Leeds.
Oh, yes, I forgot about that. It's clearly every player who goes to the Premier League from the Championship improves. Yeah.
Yeah, he got
just like
16
David
league
Nugent.
goals
Absolutely.
and then got 17. Piroe's got 19 last season, so he's going to get 20. That's how it works. Anyway,
Golden Boot.
The one other player, I think it's going to go one of two ways for him. It's either going to be a game which he's really, really good in, or it's going to be a game where we see his physicality get done for, and that's Tanaka. I think, again, like you just said, Gay and Garner are two quite physical. They can be quite physical presences. And Tanaka struggled with that a few times last season. I'm thinking back to that Luton goal, was it? When he got muscled off at the halfway line. So this is going to be a test for him, and I think he's literally either going to look incredible or it's going to look so out of his depth. I think that's basically how I see with Tanaka.
There is maybe a chance Longstaff plays. We didn't actually touch on that, but I don't think he will based on the AC Milan game as well.
Yeah.
I think he'll be seen as...
That's kind of where I see it, yeah.
I think he'll be a sub because he'll give you a bit more kind of intensity and power late on. And I think either way, if you're chasing a game or you're trying to protect one, it's probably going to be useful just to have him as a player being busy around the middle of the pitch. So I think that's what they'll do. I think you're both right. So I guess the question now is, we've touched on this already on this pod, but in a bit more detail maybe, is what kind of changes tactically we're expecting from Leeds. I don't just want this game, I want this season as well, because I think we had 61% possession average last season, 61.3 I think it was, in the Championship. I think Southampton had the highest of the relegated teams, if I remember rightly, with about 54-ish. The other two were both 50 or below. It's going to drop considerably this season, so we know that. But do we think it will for this game? I'm not sure. I think, like you both said, Tanaka could actually have quite a big part to play in this. But what else are we expecting to change tactically, Hosty?
Sorry to interrupt, just a quick one. If you're enjoying the video, be sure to like and subscribe to help us keep the content coming. And if you want even more, you can support us over on patreon.com/ASAW Patreon. You'll get bonus podcasts, exclusive articles, and access to our Discord community, all while helping us make more of the content you love. Thanks. Now let's get back to it. That's the thing, I don't think we've seen too much change tactically fully from last season during pre-season. Just the shape of how we're doing things has changed. And yeah, so that's why I think Joel mentioned in the interview as well that he expects Everton to try and cede possession a little bit more, let us have the ball, and that's why I think we've probably identified that in our analysis team as well and said, okay, this is the game to go with Tanaka, so let's start with a lineup that's going to be similar to that. But yeah, I don't know. I think obviously we're probably going to see less of Brendan Aronson. That'll be nice. That lends us to the 4-3-3. We've seen some stuff in pre-season where we've built up a little bit more through the middle quite nicely with combinations. But that's the only bit which I've kind of noticed. We haven't done much out wide combinations that's been different to what we saw last season. You know, we've got Goodmanson and Bogle there, two quite attacking fullbacks. That lends us to be exactly how we were last season. We've got Stack and Ampadu, so maybe we've got a bit more in those positions that can go cover. Tanaka is still really good at reading the game and covering. So I don't think there's going to be too many changes right now. Obviously, Calvert-Lewin's come in, Mecha, they're both quite physical, so we might see a bit more going wide and making sure that we can get the ball up there, being more direct a bit more often. But from what we've seen in pre-season, because we've not had basically Calvert-Lewin, obviously, we've not properly seen that enough to say that it's going to definitely be a tactic, in my opinion.
Yep. Martin, just quickly from me, I think you were touching on it before. Rest defence this season really interests me. We were 4-2-3-1 last year, and we had the fullbacks quite advanced, obviously. That's putting it lightly. And so it meant that we had to have midfielders doing a lot of work. I don't actually think that's going to change all that much, but we're now a 4-3-3, so I don't know which ones are going to do that. I think Stack will probably cover quite wide because he's not got bad mobility for a man of his size. But that's probably the area that I'm really looking out for is in the early stages of the season is fullbacks. So I was actually speaking to John in DMs last night for a bit, and he was asking about this and my thoughts on it, because as he sees it, right now, fullbacks for us, whilst we've not signed a number 10, whilst we've not signed another winger, two of our creative players probably going to be the fullbacks still again this season. Bogle in particular is going to be massive too, that if he's fit in this game. So it means you do actually want to get them forward, but then it's obviously going to cause problems the other way. And as Joel said, they like switches of play. They like to hit the flanks quite quickly and find a wide outlet to get kind of moving up the pitch. And that concerns me a lot for this game, but it concerns me a lot generally in the season as well. So that means you've got to be very on it with the rest defence. It's got to be pretty set in stone, and the players have got to know their roles. When Bogle goes, the right centre mid or the defensive midfielder, if it's Ampadu, needs to be able to cover that space. It all needs to work. And so far in pre-season, it's something to keep an eye on, I think, rather than a massive concern right now, because I do think it's probably some fine-tuning stuff. But I would say that we were pressing quite narrowly, and you might end up in a situation, whether it's Schmidt, Bogle, Goodmanson, whoever, whatever combination, Byram, it doesn't matter, where the fullbacks are quite exposed. So we want them to get forward, and the way we've been pressing means that they've been quite exposed out in those areas as well. That worries me a bit, I have to say. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's one of the kind of tactical tweaks that I'm interested to see how Farke handles it, and whether it's a learning process over the first 3 or 4 games, because having such importance put on your fullbacks in an attacking sense and then realising that the way we're pressing is exposing them is 2 kind of sides of the same coin that's going to be the same issue, in my opinion. Anyway, I've talked a lot there. Martin, is there anything else you wanted to add tactically that you want to talk about?
No, I do agree with a lot of what you're saying there about the rest defence. It is something which has concerned me in some games during pre-season where we have been quite open to counter-attacking moments, and it is something that I would like to see different when we are actually in the Premier League. I'm hoping it's something that we've been working on, getting the balance right, because like you say, our 2 best creative players are probably Jayden Bogle, to a lesser extent Goodmanson. I don't think he's overly creative, but he's definitely a progressor. And you want to make sure you get Bogle as advanced as possible most of the time, because he's so effective at what he does when you just get into the final third, combining with the winger, combining with the striker, anyone. He combines with everyone around who comes close to him, and he's really effective at moving inside when the winger's outside when the winger's inside. He can basically match up to whatever wing we've got, and he's got the ability to attack those areas. So you don't want to really minimise what he does. If it was me, I would personally limit Goodmanson a little bit more, trying to have him being more of the rest defence, have him do the job in progression, get the ball forward to the progressive player, and just have him to step back a bit, and then just stay there, because he's got great recovery powers as Goodmanson. That's one thing which I enjoyed most about him, was he's got a lot of pace in his game and he's a good recovery defender. So if we can keep him closer to the back line after we've got the ball to the final third, ready to defend when he needs to. Maybe he doesn't need to be at the same level of the centre-backs, but just ready to get back. He's got the pace to be able to do it. And then you keep one of the 8s a little bit further back, so then you're attacking with both the wingers, the striker, one of the 8s, and Bogle, which should be enough players to construct attacks and be dangerous without leaving ourselves too exposed. So yeah, I'm interested to see how Farke approaches this one and see if he's got any differences to what we've seen in pre-season.
Yeah, I do think the middle of the pitch defensively will be pretty sound and pretty compact, with or without Longstaff, to be fair. So not too worried about that. One of the other concerns I have is game state, and if we go behind, because at the moment we just don't have enough match winners in this team. You just mentioned Bogle and maybe Goodmanson there being progressive for us, and Bogle in particular being quite creative for us. The other players I've noted down as you were talking is like what I think could make something out of nothing happen mostly right now is Nonto, which is probably quite obvious, and then probably Tanaka. To a lesser extent, Stack, and to a lesser extent, Pirro, because I do think they've got moments in them, but I'm not sure with them. Tanaka and Nonto probably got the most like technical quality to make something happen, so just not sure. That's where I'm a bit worried if we do go behind in this particular game. But yeah, Hosty, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I guess you've only mentioned players that we think will play, because there is a player who could come on and create a difference, but they could be leaving, right? There's talks of them leaving. That's Ramazani, who we're all fans of. But there's obviously been some strong links to Rangers this week. But yeah, he's the sort of player that could come on and do something different and change something. But yeah, otherwise, that's the creative sparks that we've got at the moment.
Yeah, we definitely need more. By the way, strong links, by that you mean Wacko?
I don't know. I've seen it on Twitter.
I think it's mostly just in Wacko.
I don't go on Wacko.
No, I don't either. Other people go on it for us and send us it. That's how it works. Yeah.
Journalism 101.
Indeed. So yeah, I'm really intrigued to see how we get on. I do think this game probably looks, and this is the next question, so I'll just quickly touch on this first. I think this game will look like quite a few games last season for us, albeit in more of a 4-3-3. but where we probably do have more of the ball than the opposition. I think they'll cede us possession a decent amount. Probably look to those wide channels, which we've talked about, as probably our biggest area of concern in terms of what we're doing when we've got the ball, in terms of how they turn us over in transition. So yeah, I think watching this game of football will probably be Leeds having a lot of the ball this game, to be fair. But yeah, Martin, I'll start with you. What do you expect watching this game of football will look like, and where do you think it'll be won or lost? I'll answer that last.
So I think the game will look like exactly what you just described. I think we will have more of the ball, and Everton will be looking to hit us in transition. We will find Everton difficult to break down. Most Moyes sides are difficult to break down, so we will have to be patient in our attack when we are looking to penetrate them and not give away any sloppy balls in build-up, because they can attack quickly. They've got pace in their attack, and so that they will be able to get behind our press as well. They will look to go long whenever we do engage them in a press. So I question whether the press is worth going for, because they've got outlets that they can go to long. If it is Beto who plays, which I would expect it to be in this one, or even if it's Barry, both of them can be outlets aerially. They're both big, strong boys who can get the ball and make it stick to them, and then get other attackers involved. So we're going to have to be wary of that when we are pressing. And where the game will be won or lost, well, it's going to be a very narrow margin to fair. I don't think there's going to be many chances. So as simple as it sounds, I think the team who takes their chance first wins this one. It's the common get out, whoever scores first, but I do think that it is big. It is something which we have struggled with when we didn't score first at sometimes, but then also other times we did manage to come back from going behind first in the Championship. But I don't think it'll be as easier to come back and score if we do concede in the Premier League as opposed to the Championship. Teams are more organised, they know what they're doing, and it will make things even more difficult for us and then hit us on the break with power. So, yeah, it's going to be a tough one, this one.
Yeah, Mahosty, I think it'll be pretty low margin as well. I think we probably all are. We're not expecting loads of goals. I would say one of the ways I'd expect us to try and rescue it is probably a set piece, but unfortunately we haven't actually signed a proper set piece taker yet, and its stack might be on them, when you probably want him in the box somewhere, at least causing some chaos just by being as big as he is. But either way, you expecting this game to be quite a low scoring one, and where do you think it'll be won or lost?
Yeah, you kind of took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to kind of say set pieces as well. For both teams, really. Yeah, set pieces is probably where it's going to be won or lost. I think it's going to be one of those kind of games where, especially with us being back in the Prem, I'm probably going to get a text off one of my mates at around about 35 minutes. And because of the way Everton will set up and the way that we're going to set up by potentially us having possession quite a bit, he's going to say, "Oh boy, you look good." And I'm like, no, because we've not created anything. Like we would have created, like we'd have had like 2 shots that would have been pop shots from Perot at like 20 yards out or something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of like how I'm expecting it to go. I think Everton are obviously going to try and hit us on the break, and so we're going to be kind of camped there trying to create stuff which we're probably not going to be able to create right now because we haven't got the creative sparks that we need. The best bet is to try and bulldoze through the middle somehow. Not entirely sure how that's going to happen. So yeah, that's kind of, and yeah, as I said before, it's probably going to be won or lost on set pieces due to that.
Yeah, it's transitions and set pieces, isn't it? Because that's a lot of tall. What's a nice way of putting it?
Potentially the left/right hand side of Everton and Leeds. You know, who plays at right back, who plays at left back for them? Yeah. How do they deal with our wingers and what we have when we? I mean, okay, you've got to deal with Dan James, whatever. But like, how do we deal with Ndiaye or Grealish, who will play off the left as well? You know, like that's possibly a potential way.
I think one of the fun areas, if they do play O'Brien at right back and hits Nonto left wing, that is someone who's 6'6" against someone who's 5'6". So there's a whole foot difference. That could look really funny, but it also could actually mean if Nonto's clever, he might win quite a few free kicks, and that might be a way for us to
runs through his legs,
carve stuff out. Yeah, he probably could do that. I was actually at the game when Rob Burrow did a forward roll through players and then scored a try. I was at that game. But that's Leeds Rhinos, not Leeds United. Anyway, yeah, I think we've covered all bases there, guys. But one of the big things I think is going to be very striking when watching this game and what it will look like is just how much taller both we look and our opposition. I don't think there'll have been a game last season where we had this much height and our opposition did. It's going to be land of the giants, and set pieces are going to look quite funny because it's going to be a lot of big boys just knocking into each other. I nearly knocked my mic again, like I did last time. But yeah, I think that's everything, guys. Does any closing thoughts before we go?
It's great to be back.
Yeah, great to be back, and we hope that we can enjoy the game, even if it's like Hosty says, us with a lot of the ball in their half, not really doing much. Maybe you're hoping Tanaka pulls a really nice pass out of the bag, like slightly over the top. Then he does that like curved, dinked one that he does.
That
maybe
lovely little cross he's got from like the half space on the right side. Yeah,
the Trent Alexander-Arnold special.
It is, isn't it? Everton fans will love us saying that. He's kind of got that in his locker sometimes. So hopefully you can find a Nonto with not a lot of space to work with doing that, but who knows? Probably not. And hopefully we do play the right kind of striker. But anyway, just a quick reminder for anyone listening. We thank everyone that is a Patreon subscriber. We've had a bit of a growth this summer, and we're really thankful for that. We're going to be pushing this content a lot more this year, as Hosty might have said earlier in the video. And you can find that where, Hosty?
Patreon.com/ASAW Patreon.
You are on your toes just as much as I hope that Pascal Strauch and Joe Roden are in this game.
I am literally stood up, to be fair.
I know you are. And like I said, there'll be lots of bonus content this year. We're going to do more. We're going to make these previews and reviews. We're going to record them on the same night, even if they're separate pods, so that we can just get it all done and we can get other stuff done in the week as well. So we hope that you will join us this season. It's going to be a fun one. Hopefully, and Leeds aren't going to lose loads of games. We probably will, but hopefully it's still fun either way. And as Martin has said countless times, our best pods are when Leeds aren't actually playing very well and they are losing games. That's the one it's best content. Anyway, all that's left for me to say then is thank you very much to Tom.
Thank you.
English this time.
I panicked.
First one of the season English. Next one we'll see what happens. Yeah. Martin, thank you very much.
Gracias.
And thank you, dear listeners and watchers. Now we're on YouTube as well. Probably should have shouted that out at the start. I keep forgetting to do that. We need to add that to the intro. We are on YouTube if you want to see it. We'll be back for a review of this game and a preview of the second game against Arsenal. And have a great week either way. I mean, you can enjoy your weekend because the game's not till Monday. But yeah, have a good one. We'll see you soon.
Bye.